I will call us to order at 5:40. And say that we will start by acknowledging that we gather this evening on the traditional lands of the Dena'ina Athabascan people who for more than 1,000 years have been and continue to be stewards of this land. So it is with gratefulness and respect that we recognize the contributions, innovations, and contemporary perspectives of the Upper Cook Inlet Dena'ina people. And we have a quorum, or at least we will after I make the roll call. Megan, are you here? And what have you been reading?
I am here. I just finished a book called Say Hello to My Little Friend, which is a line from Scarface. And it's a book that takes place in Miami and follows a what is his name? Oh gosh, now I'm blanking on it. He was originally an impersonator of the Miami-based artist who did a concert in Kodiak. Anyway, can't remember his name. But he was an impersonator of that, but he got slapped with some copyright infringement issues. And so then he decided instead to impersonate Scarface. And he has a psychic connection with an orca. And that is the crazy premise of this book. It's a wild ride. So I enjoyed it.
Thanks. I've written that one down. Olivia.
So I saw Project Hail Mary in theaters a few weeks ago and then couldn't find the book at the library or Barnes & Noble. I think all the copies are checked out if there were any. So I ended up reading another book by the same author called The Martian, which was a lot more lighthearted and very funny considering it's the story of a man stranded on Mars on his own, awaiting rescue. But it was fun. I recommend it.
Yeah, they made a good movie of that one too, The Martian.
I need to watch it.
It's really good. You like it. Yeah.
I think it's better than the Hail Mary personally.
I do too. Yeah. You have it to look forward to, Olivia. Thank you. Jen will not be with us. She is on the road someplace in the lower 48. Mark?
Well, I'm going to do two books really quick. So first of all, I think, Megan, you're the one that suggested it, or you said it at one of the meetings. It's Demon Copperfield.
Oh, it's such a good book.
And so that's one I'm reading. And then while I was in Montana last month, one of my cousins said I should read a book called Becoming Little Shell, which is about a guy who is kind of a landless Indian who discovered his tribe in Montana. So it's a true story.
Little Shell?
Becoming Little Shell.
Okay.
So it's really well done. And half of it's set on my reservation, which is super cool. So
nice.
Anyway, both good.
Thank you. Wade.
I'm reading a couple of books. I'm reading one called A Violent Masterpiece, which when I'm done, I'm going to donate to the library. It's written by a guy named Jordan Harper, who's a very good young writer. He wrote one called She Rides Shotgun, which I read, and then they made a movie out of it, a really good movie with Taron Egerton in the lead role. And it played in the movie theaters for about a week, but I managed to catch it. And this is his latest. And so I bought it and I'll donate it. And another one I'm reading that I'll donate is called The Story of Birds. And it goes back to the dinosaur roots of birds and how they really are, the remnant dinosaurs. So I'm about halfway through that.
Nonfiction, I presume.
That one's not fiction, yes.
Okay, good. And I finished a Pyragon a while ago. Is that anybody familiar with that? It's the word is a Pyragon. It's an Arabic word meaning a shape with infinite
Surface?
Surfaces, it's all straight surfaces. It's hard to describe, but it's absolutely accurate for this book by Colin McCann, who wrote a novel concerning a true story of two men, one Palestinian and one Israeli, both of whose daughters were killed by the army of the other. It's probably the most amazing book I've ever read. I mean, it allows you to really inside the thought and feelings of these guys who are amazing. They started then a peace movement to use their grief basically to hope that it never happens to anyone else. And the author manages to make every page just incredible. Obviously, I really recommend it. It's an amazing book. So thank you all for being here. We do have a quorum. I will say, I mentioned earlier that I did talk to Marie, the head of boards and commissions, and she was saying that there are no appointments going to the assembly. That's what we thought we were waiting for. So there's some confusion somewhere. She said she did not have applicants recently, and so encouraged all of us to encourage people we know to apply to be board members because we are lacking. And when Margie gets back, we'll talk about kind of the difference of opinion there on that. So anyway, we'll know more a bit later about that. Mark, I know you're especially been asking about that. You've seen the agenda. Anyone like to accept it and make a motion?
I make a motion, we accept it.
Okay, Wade, would there be a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll assume ayes from the audience unless I hear
Aye.
otherwise. Okay, thank you. How about the minutes from the last meeting?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Is that you, Megan?
Yes,
I
that
didn't-
was me, Megan.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Second?
I'll second again.
Thank you, Mark. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. So Mary Weiss is online. Do you wish to make a statement to the board, Mary?
Mary, she says she's right, she's typing. I
Okay.
really don't have anything to say.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate and welcome you to the meeting. I was asking because this is the time in the agenda. If you did want to say something, you would have 3 minutes to do it, but we welcome just participating as you wish.
And she said, and I'm reading just for the record, because I don't know if the chat gets into the recording, but she now is saying, no, thank you for allowing me to attend.
Great. Okay, then. Next up, well, is Sandy Lukes, who doesn't appear to be here.
I think she was told at 6 o'clock. So if you are okay with the reordering, I believe she'll be here.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. In that case, Molly, if you would like to pick up the slack and tell us about the budget, which we would all be very interested in hearing.
Yeah, I'm gonna scooch up just
Please scooch.
close to the microphones. Okay. So Elizabeth, if you can
I am
do
doing
your
that
thing,
really.
do your magic. So my name is Molly Roche and I am the budget coordinator here at the library, presenting my annual update on where we're at. I like to do past, present, and future. So we'll recap 2025 budget, kind of let you know where we're at with 2026, and then preview, we're starting to think about 2027. if you have questions, just let me know. I think I have 20 minutes, but you know, we can
You may have more.
we can discuss as needed. So yes, we're here to talk about the budget and what we're doing. You can keep going. Yep.
I was clicking and
Yeah. So I wanted to start with our mission and vision, because I think it's important to tie back. This is what our budget is here to support. And so connecting people to education, information, and community. And then our vision for the municipality, what we're trying to accomplish. And so, you know, as we move into budget season, trying to remember that this is where the money is supposed to go. Next. And then we've got our values. Margie, I think, as you know, kind of redid our values. They didn't really change, but we were able to further define them for ourselves. And I pulled out bolded integrity because I feel like that's the part that most applies to the budget process, in that we are trusted stewards of public resources by providing reliable and sustainable services. So that's something we talk about a lot, is how can we make sure that we don't just do one great thing one time? How do we do really good work consistently? And accountability. So that's one of my own, you know, department, little division goals, is making sure that I show up and tell you that we spent money in a productive way. Okay, so our operating budget. So this is our spend out. So we were 97% spent out on our labor, which is great. Some of that money we moved towards, we were able to use towards other projects, because as you know, we weren't fully staffed last year with a director. So it was really nice that we're able to still use most of our labor money on things that supported the library. And we were 99% spent out on our non-labor. So meaning we were able to use all of the money given to us from the municipality, from taxpayers, towards library things. As you know, any leftover dollars at the end, we buy books with. So this is what the percentages are. So labor is that big, giant, yellow Pac-Man shape, because that's our most valuable resource. It's what keeps everything going. Non-labor, just as the general category, 1.9 million is the blue, and then the itty bitty little slivers. We do have a travel budget, so we're able to send people to conferences and provide that professional development for staff. We do have a grant matching. So when we receive grants, the public library assistance grants, we do a matching fund for that. And then the debt service, we are still paying off the robot downstairs that takes the books from the Dropbox all the way back. And so our last payment will be December of next year. And then we'll start with replacing it part by part. So it's served us well. Okay, and then we're just digging into that non-labor category. What are we spending that 1.9 million on? The yellow is administration. And then we have the branch libraries. Adult services is that 40,000. Circulation, so the patron services, front desk, and moving books around. Youth services, a little tiny sliver, but that's because most of what they do is programs, which is funded by the Friends of the Library. So I don't want you to think we've neglected youth services. And then technical services, that's the department that processes all of our books. And then automation, also known as technology. So that's Celia's budget, and she was buying computers and software and maintenance agreements for our equipment. And then the big slice, as is appropriate in a library, is our collections. So our budget. Do you guys have any questions about those categories? I know they're familiar to me, but maybe not to you.
I do. So administration is not labor, is not salaries?
No, and the reason that's so big is because a lot of people, admin budgets are always too much. And so it does look really big in this chunk. So 100,000 of that, actually for last year, 125,000 was a grant that we gave to the foundation. So that's half is for the grant, which supports their work. And then another chunk is for, actually for last year, I think that the half is for that foundation piece. My brain is shifting gears to last year. We also have contracts that run out of that.
like the
for lose
courier
that
contract.
Courier comes out of the branches.
I
So
don't
it
really
looks-
need specifics, but I
Yeah.
was wondering if labor was there and it's not.
No,
those
no
aren't
labor.
salaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like our copy things are there, so there's some general pieces, but yeah.
And we also do a good deal of purchasing of supplies centrally. So, you know, even though the ink pens might be used by youth services, they'll be purchased out of.
It just makes it
Yeah, the
easier.
deadline. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we do last year? Displays, and we have our beautiful teen area right over there on the second floor that you guys know. We got our printer, the Mountain View sidewalks were replaced, so we've got big projects and small projects. The HVAC panel, finally, after setting aside money for it in 2023, it was finally installed. We built that Eagle River book drop awning, if you haven't seen it, and we got some community room tables. You know, some big and small. I pulled displays on there because putting our collection in front of people and really showcasing it has actually been really helpful. And, you know, I know in the teen area especially, it's been moving books that had not seen the light of day for a while. And so that's really gratifying.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, so our Friends at the Library, as I mentioned with our youth services, which is that big blue chunk. So the Friends do their fundraising every year and then just donate that to us to use towards programming. So any program that you attend, any of the supplies or payments to the performers, that comes from the Friends. And they also do a big chunk of supplementing our collection budget. And some of our marketing and publicity pieces also come from there and supporting things like volunteer recognition. So that way we can say thank you to our volunteers and buying food for our staff day. So these things that are not taxpayer funded, but really do make a big difference to the staff and volunteers.
Is it always about the same from year to year for Friends of the Library? Because I just got an email from the last gala fundraiser. They raised like 130,000.
They've been, so this is my third year here, and each year they've been able to give us more. So the first year, I believe it was 100,000, and that was the first time that they'd ever hit that $100,000 mark, as far as I remember. And they've just been increasing it each year because it's wildly successful, and we are grateful for all of the dollars.
Usually in September, they will let me know. And I'll work with the coordinators of the department. They'll let me know like, oh, this is about the amount of money that we can give for the next year. And they'll let me know and we'll put together a proposed budget and take it back to them for the year.
Let me ask, can Megan and Olivia see these slides?
Yep, Megan, it's
Yeah, I can
nodding.
see 'em.
Okay, good. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
So,
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and the Anchorage Library Foundation also does a lot of fundraising for us. Their model is a little bit different. Friends of the Library, they do all their fundraising and then they give it all to us. The foundation kind of has these dual purposes where they help us with, they have what they call mini grants, so we're able to apply for small projects, just another way to kind of supplement what we do. So last year they did a letter asking for money for the Mountain View bike rack. So not a really big dollar item, but there are these small things that kind of, you know, the community can connect with. And then in addition, they're doing more large scale projects, right? So they're working on downtown library fundraising and these, you know, so they've got this mix of like supporting our really big capital projects and long-term planning, but then also kind of giving some things annually to, you know, like the mobile library wrap. We're really excited about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so now we move into the present, our budget. So I always find this one interesting. Our library operating budget that I, you know, sweat over sometimes, the missing $3,000, when our budget as a whole is 1.6% of the total municipal budget. So
Does that feel big to you or small to you?
it feels small. Well, it just helps me remember, like, they're not going to fix their budget woes by looking at our budget.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
And that there's, you know, maybe some room to, like, $10,000 to us. We're like, we can buy so many audiobooks with that. That would make a huge difference. Whereas $10,000 in another department is like change, you know, it's a rounding error.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting to kind of remember that. And this year, this is our budget. So our labor is 81.5% and non-labor at 18.5. So again, a very similar split to what we saw last year with the actuals. And so again, this is our budget. So very similar to last year, collection went down a little bit. And part of that, I don't know if you remember from last year's budget, but we made a really big effort to, so we were able to fund a full-time youth services librarian, and we did that by shrinking some of our non-labor budget, including collections to a degree. And then we also set aside money, which is currently, it lives in non-labor, so it's part of that administration line, which is that 264,000. 75,000 of that is for an additional security guard here at LUSAC. So Margie has put a big emphasis on our priority needs to be staffing and security. And so we were able to do two really big things for this year's budget. And so some areas have kind of, shrunk a little bit in order to prioritize that. Make sure our desks are covered and people feel safe and welcome here. The collection budget. This is where our split is, databases. So if you go online and you get to read the ADN for free because we paid for that database, that's where the money comes from. And I know you guys continue to learn about all the amazing databases that we have. Serials, so the physical newspapers and magazines that we have in the library. Of course, the physical materials, so DVDs, playaways, and books, and more books, and lots of books. And then digital materials. So you can see the tension of buying digital materials versus buying physical materials, and how do we balance the demand for the one over the other. And so that's a continuing conversation that we have and will be having as we look at 2027. As you know, we pulled back on Hoopla, and then we've heard a lot about that from patrons. So Hoopla used to be 8 borrows, and everybody just had 8 borrows a month, and you could just, you could borrow 8 items. But it's pay per use. So the more people who discovered it, the bigger it went. In December of last year, we were paying, it was $27,000 for the month of December just for Hoopla. And this year we had to cap the budget because we couldn't just have this uncontrolled spending continue to, it was just going up and up. So this year you get 4 borrows per month, but every day there's a daily cap. So if you check out at 5 in the morning and I check out at 6 in the morning, Elizabeth probably won't be able to check out at 7 in the morning. So
I actually was able to check out at 7 this morning because I was double checking because I had to get my audio trip road book. My audio book road trip.
So even though she has 4 borrows this month, each day she might not be able to do it because of the daily monetary load.
I see. Oh, yeah.
And so people are like, it's broken. I'm like, no, you just didn't make it in the queue in time. So
You are not the early bird.
you are not the early bird who's getting your audiobook checked
The
out.
late bird, since it resets at midnight.
Oh,
Yes.
good to know.
So
Correct.
you may also be in luck if you are a night owl.
It's like the cabin rentals when they go up in the state.
Yes.
So is this red, gray? This is the kind of creative tension going on here between the.
Yes. And even, go ahead.
Wait,
Is the gray is the books?
The gray is our digital books.
Wow.
Yeah.
They are very expensive
Yeah.
and very popular. Because you can be at home, and that's allowed us to serve, we don't have buildings in as many places as we really should have buildings. But this is a way for everybody to access the library. So we want them to come here and get our books and pick up the books, but then also.
I can pull up a different chart for you when we finish this presentation. We find that right now, digital circulation to physical is somewhere between 40, 60, 45, 55%, depending on the month. There's somebody else is trying to join us.
Mary again.
Yeah. Oh, there, she's back. Great. And getting this to go back away.
Their choice.
There we go. And so depending on that, we, so there's probably like, if you count total number of items circulated, it's 55 to 60% physical items. However, if you're looking at unique users, there are more digital users. By about twice as many people are using digital resources as there are using print resources.
Wow.
And sort of the story we kind of tell about that is that if I come in, say I'm a storytime mom, I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab 6 books for my child. After story time, we'll go over to the new books. I'll grab a new book, fiction for me, and a cookbook. They always do. They always grab the cookbooks, and they go downstairs. And so this one patron will have checked out about 8 items, and she'll use one card for her whole family, so she'll count as one unique user for about 8 items. Someone sitting at home is maybe going to grab 1 or 2 ebooks, or 1 or 2, one ebook and 1 audiobook. And so, or maybe only 1 in a week, because they've just grabbed the one they're going to read that week. But there's more people sitting at home than there are coming into the buildings to get items. But the ones coming into the building are getting more items.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when we look at our unique users, and of course, the way we look at our statistics, you're going to grab a hold me down statistics. I apologize. Is for example, this morning, I checked out the audiobooks that I'm going to use on my road trip this weekend. So I'm going to count this week as a unique user for ebooks. However, when I came in today, a hold for a physical book for my daughter came in. So I checked that out too. So she can have a print book to read as well. So I'm going to count as a unique. So I'll show up on both charts.
Reading in a car, by the way, makes an upset stomach. So I remember as a little girl.
Fortunately, I don't, and neither do my daughters, but we do love our audio trip road books.
Yeah.
Our road trip audiobooks. I can't say that today.
When our son was born in 1987, we took a road trip, down to Kansas City, to introduce the grandparents to the baby. And what I did was they had books on cassette then, and I had a duplicator cassette machine, and I duplicated them so I didn't have to get them back. And then I had these bales of cassette tapes and listened to books on tape all the way down and all the way back. It made all the difference in the world, particularly in those stretches of Canada where there was no radio stations.
Yep.
This might be a stupid question, but cereals?
Magazines.
Oh, magazines. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I know it's the library term.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay, thanks.
magazines and newspapers.
Okay.
Okay. Any other collection budget questions?
No,
Okay.
not from me.
Any online questions so far? I forgot to ask you.
I seem she's shaking heads.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So things we're working on this year, our strategic plan work groups are full on going through all the pieces that we've got. We've got the additional security guard that I mentioned earlier. You've probably seen our Lucky Day collection downstairs, which is just doing amazingly well. We just launched our new printing software, which is exciting. That's our public printing software that causes havoc sometimes, but it's a much used resource from the public. They can come and they can print something.
Do we charge for that?
The first 10 pages are free, and then we charge after that. We are working on getting a new book vendor set up. That has definitely been a sticking point because we're having to buy all of our books unprocessed, so our technical services department has to process them all by hand, which just means it takes a long time for new books to get out on the shelf, even though we want to do that. We just literally don't have the staffing power to make it go faster. We're getting a new desk for the Eagle River.
So the new vendor will do that work for us?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. There's still some pieces that they're not able to do, but they'll be able to do a large portion of it. And so that'll be really, really helpful. Our mobile library, as I'm sure you've heard, launches in June, and then we're getting some new incident reporting software. So
2 questions. The mobile library, is that gonna be like a bookmobile? Or?
I defer to Elizabeth.
The mobile library is my project, mine and a bunch of people. It will have the ability to bring books to you and check it out. It's not going to be a traditional big van bookmobile that you can step into like a bus. It looks like, if you know like what a Sprinter van is, that kind of that size, sort of like a work van, and it's got a Tommy gate, lift gate on the back. And the shelves are very cool and they have these carts that click into the wall. And so when we get to a location, we will take those carts out, put them on the, take those carts, put them down through the lift gate and wheel them into a building. So we're setting up locations. For example, one of our youth librarians who's outreach focused is already doing a regular story time at Spenard Rec and Fairview Rec Centers, which are actually fairly far from a library. And so she will now take with her carts and carts of books and be able to set up and check out. So instead of bringing people in, it'll be going into places. We're working on setting up locations. We're targeting places like maybe going to senior centers. And so people will be able to browse in an indoor place instead of in and out of a.
And what about the new desk for Eagle River?
So the circulation desk that they have, where you walk in and.
Yes, that's my
with that,
branch.
so perfect. So it's kind of
Big.
solid and big, and it doesn't go up and down, and it's not accessible and not very functional. So you'll be getting a brand new shiny desk. It should be installed end of June, early July. And so that's something that has been a long time in the works. This one is modular. It can be moved if needed. So it'll make replacing the carpet whenever we get to that, it'll make it much easier. So they're using a similar footprint, but it has up-down take capability. So much nicer to work at as a staff member, accommodating all heights. So yeah, I think it'll be really nice. They're doing some really great work over there. And I think it'll just be
Yeah, it's
much more in the-
it's
in the
a
vibe.
nice branch library.
very much so. So we're excited about that.
So I was in a small town, Montana recently, and the library was closed the day I stopped there, but they had this little car that's called a story shuttle. I'll be back down there in July and I'm gonna go in and ask, what's up with your little story shuttle? So,
I love that.
Nice.
so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just curious
Yeah.
what other libraries do for vehicles like that.
So we are inspired by, and there was videos on YouTube of various, and so these size vans are pretty common. And so we bought the shelving like designed for this size of a vehicle, and it is, I think, becoming a little bit more common because it's just a little bit more friendly to be able to spread your items out in like in a space. And a lot more people can browse than having to get on and off a vehicle. And especially you think about inclement weather in Alaska, that can be a little bit more friendly. So yeah, the one video from a lower 48, and I'm going to totally blank on which city, they showed them going into actually, using a church facility to have a story time and have, children's books. And then they go into a senior center, and then you can go into, I think, we're in discussions actually with Fred Meyers to set up in the Fred Wire entryway, just being able, that's pretty similar to, we're seeing a lot more libraries go to this smaller model as opposed to the giant bookmobile and then taking the books out of it. And even if we go to a farmer's market, we'll be able to set tents up around it. They're more economical. Any staff member can drive them without getting any sort of a special licensure. And it's not intimidating to drive.
Yes. I will not be taking the bookmobile anywhere.
The only thing is some of them have the same bookmobile, but it has a built-in bubble dispenser. So you can go along shooting bubbles out. Ours does not.
I thought you meant a bubble roof, but no
No.
actual, like.
My kids love bubbles.
I know. Someday I'm gonna come forward with a mini grant for the bubble dispenser.
Mark, I volunteer you to be working.
So, yeah. But yeah, I think even if you look at like LA Public and a few other like major ones are really using these smaller
I mean, it
vehicles.
sounds like a great idea.
It's
And so
exciting.
what's the new incident reporting software?
So we currently have software, right? So if there's an incident that happens in the library, usually relating to trespassed individuals, code of conduct violations, those are all tracked in this software. The new software that we're getting just has a lot more. It's going to provide much better statistics for Elizabeth to dive into. There's ways we get to kind of customize the form in a way that this current software doesn't really allow us to. Like we'll be able to search by location a lot easier. Was it a second floor incident? There's staff can just put their witness statements directly into there instead of this weird work around. So it's going to make it a lot more efficient and give us a lot more, hopefully some better insight into what's happening security wise. So, and it's a comparable, I think we're actually going to save money too. So
What's the name of the software?
it's with a company called Orange Boy. So our Savannah reporting, we already have
Okay.
Savannah is the database that does like a lot of our marketing. It tracks their circulation. So it's the same company. So we're also excited to work with them some more. But yeah, it's called Incident Reporting. But it's just another product from Orange Boy is the company. So we'll be working on transitioning this fall.
Mhm.
Next year, time jumping. Okay, so our priorities continue to be staffing, safety and security, and then making sure that we're providing excellent core services, that sustainable service model I talked about at the beginning. So that's what we're focusing on. Some of the challenges that we're anticipating as we work through this budget process. The municipal budget forecast is not great, and that's been said in public meetings, at assembly meetings, so I'm not, telling you state secrets or anything. We don't know exactly what that will mean, but we anticipate that we will be potentially asked for cuts, whether those cuts would go through or not, but that's something that we're looking at. Which is why we want to make sure you guys are aware of the budget as some of our main advocates. We want you to know what's coming, and hopefully we can work together to make sure we're articulating why the library needs every single penny that we have.
Remind me when you put the calendar on.
So I'll submit the budget in July to the administration, and then in August, we will meet with the administration, so the mayor and her team, to discuss the library's budget, to talk about everything, and then the mayor will present her budget to the assembly on October 2nd. It doesn't come out till like midnight on October 2nd, so I have to read it on my son's birthday every year. It's very annoying timing. And then the assembly takes it from there and they work through their process and they'll vote on a final version on that second meeting in November. So September and October are really the good times for advocacy, to make sure that the library is known. And we try to make sure that you guys have the information you need, and what you choose to do with that is entirely on you, but we want to make sure you're aware. As we talked about the collection, the demand for digital materials is just, we get calls all the time about Hoopla now because we cut off, we restricted that access, but there's still wait times for the Libby app. If I go in and put a hold on a popular item, it'll be like, it's going to be months. We will get that book to you later, and so that can be frustrating as well. And okay, but I can't get on Libby and I've run out of Hoopla, and I want my digital book. And so
What's the, I don't know how to, what's the cost differential in Libby? I know
So Libby, we're able to buy the book, and by that I mean we can buy a license to the book. So some of them are like 24 months. You get this book, but it's only one license, right? So if I have checked out, you can't check it out until I'm done with it. So it works very much like the books. And other ones are like, you can have 24 checkouts with this book. So once it's checked out 24 times, then you have to buy the license again. So very few of them are, you just own it. I think there are some that are like that, but most of the model is either limited number of checkouts or a time limit. And then we have to decide if we want to buy it again. And they're very expensive. An audiobook, I think Christy said is, or Christy who orders them, like $120 per audiobook. So
For that 26 checkouts or 36 months
Yeah.
or whatever.
so it's just
Yeah.
very expensive, but I mean, it's a great way to get books to people, and it's kind of what we do. So, so figuring out how we want to balance those things, Hoopla versus Libby, digital versus physical, all of those things are important. Our buildings are old. And by that, I mean, this building is really old and things keep breaking furniture. So there's all these continual costs that are happening. Our technology, our printers are really old. So we're working on, okay, we've got a lease plan. The robot downstairs is doing amazing, but we are going to need to plan for replacing, not the whole thing, but like replacing parts, making sure that we're keeping up with software. Staffing is continually an issue, making sure that we can, when you go to a service point, a staff person will be there to help you, making sure that we have enough staff to process the book so that you can check out the brand new book and read it. Those are things that we work with. And safety and security, people are still people, and we experience issues every day in our locations, especially here and at Mountain View. And so figuring out how to address those is important because, again, we want our buildings to be safe and welcoming spaces. That's a core service that we have. So
I remember there being a discussion once about people from the valley using Anchorage Library Services and some of that being cut back or changed. I can't remember exactly the context.
Okay, so there's a couple of different contexts. So if you are a resident of the valley, you are eligible to have a card through the Matsu Borough or Wasilla or Palmer. If you have that, you can reserve our books. You can place a hold and get it just like, I think the hold I picked up for my daughter actually came from Wasilla. We do ship holds back and forth. We restrict some items. A new item doesn't go to any of our partner libraries for the first 6 months. And then some like really high interest things we've restricted, like the Battle of the Books. Everybody in Alaska wants to read them. So we all just sort of keep them in our own community so they move faster for the time period that they're the children's Battle of the Books. What you might be remembering is that last year in February of 2025, we ceased offering non-residence cards. So we used to offer for sale $50 a non-resident card, and that would give you full access to everything. At the time, the reason $50 was chosen as a price was we determined that was what the average Anchorage property owner was paying. If you looked at what their property taxes were and then what percentage of the budget went to the library, that was how we got to the number $50. Well, first of all, that's no longer an accurate number. And secondly, what we found is that the average person was paying $50 and taking far more than that in some of those resources, especially things like Hoopla that we literally pay for use. Or if you figured that's $125 audiobook with 30 uses, each usage is X dollars. So we were able to prove that they were very quickly taking more than $50 worth of resources. And so it was very much a losing economic proposition. It was not worth it for us to calculate what the right price was. And instead, what we did is we stopped offering and selling those cards. And there were some Valley residents who chose not to get a Wasilla card and preferred to instead buy a card from us because they preferred our e-resources over what the Wasilla purchases for their patrons. And so we stopped offering that card for sale. It also did not feel great that Anchorage residents were put into line behind, non-residents. So I think that's probably what you're remembering.
That is, I was just wondering if there's opportunities if that's still a problem with the Valley, but you cut them off already, so.
We cut them off, and it's interesting because it's not just the Valley. So there's a very large community of people who really, really love ebooks. And they keep blogs and Reddit lists and forums about which are the libraries with the best deal for their cards. And they will buy cards at 3 or 4, 8 libraries and just cycle through as quickly as they can get their books. And we were on many of those lists.
Oh.
And so I was cutting off cards and I was getting phone calls. I got a phone call from Idaho. I got a phone call from Tennessee. And, it's, again, so this is not even Alaskan residents. These are, and what we always say is we would really rather that you would spend, instead of actually calling me and advocating for me to reinstate this program, we would really appreciate if you would advocate for your local library to have the funding to offer the programs that you would like. Spend your energy that way in your local community.
Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, and I've heard of the same thing. People like having 4 cards.
And they just cycle through and they grab them. And I'm so excited that people are such voracious readers, but when we cannot afford to meet the demands of our own voracious readers, it is hard to prioritize non-residents.
Makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, all the things. Okay, capital improvement projects. So last year we came to you and presented our projects. The projects have not really changed. We have updates, but and I know last year you guys as a board prioritized the Mountain View Library remodel as what you considered to be the most important thing. And so we did move that forward to the administration. as our number one priority. However, they chose not to move it forward to the assembly as part of the proposed bond package. So Mountain View didn't make it as part of the administration's bond, and it didn't, so therefore it was not put to the voters. We didn't get any really explanation why Mountain View was not moved forward, but I suspect as I look at all of the vast needs within the municipality, that as a library, we say this is important, but from the zooming out to the municipality, there's a lot of buildings that are very old, and we're bonding for things like HVACs. And so Mountain View as a building is intact and newer. And so I don't know for sure. I imagine that might be some of the rationale behind not moving that forward. It is a new facility. It does work, and the HVAC is not overheating some areas of a building. We experienced our boardroom was 87 degrees about a month ago. So,
In this building?
in this building. And then the other room sometimes is frigid, and Elizabeth has to turn the space heater on to make it through a meeting.
Directly, I sit directly in front of the space heater.
So, and those are on the same floor. So there's a lot of issues. So the second floor design did make it through, and the voters did approve that. So we're going to be working with capital projects to get a design for the second floor. We're moving forward with our third floor design. We have budget to do about a 30% design. So we're getting that going. They're actually writing the shopping carts and the PO, and we will actually start that project hopefully soon here. So but again, that's only to design to that 30%. So we would still need to find money. So what we are proposing for this coming bond cycle, we were hoping to have those 30% drawings for third floor finished. So then we would have a more realistic number to actually go for the construction for third floor. We're not ready for that. So we need to kind of delay. So our tentative proposal is that we would like to bond for a third floor design to get from 30% to 100%. So then we would really have, as we go to fundraise for it, as we advocate, we might have a shiny board that would show you what the new third floor would look like. And to have that level of information for advocacy, I think could be really helpful. And our capital improvement department, right? So with the municipality who does all of the capital projects, they have asked us to do that two-part design first and then bond for construction. So you're bonding for a realistic number. The challenge with that is that you're bonding for the same project. So if we go back to voters in a year and say, we're ready for second floor, they might say, but we already did that. So but at least we're giving them an accurate number versus a wild guess at the beginning and then setting people up for disappointment. So there's that tension between how do we want to advocate. So as much transparency as we can do, as much interaction with the public during these processes, I think is going to be important.
Yeah.
What's happening in our plan right now, though, is that these bigger projects are kind of stacking up. And we want to make sure that we don't miss a full bond cycle of a big thing. So last year we just asked for the $300,000 for the second floor design. It was a very tiny bond, but at least it was something. Because we don't want to miss another bigger ask. And so our current draft is that we would ask for the HVAC for LUSAC, because as I told you, we have these temperature swings and it is a huge issue and it will need to be addressed. So while we're working on the third floor, like remodel, it would be nice if the third floor temperature was also something that was good. So we're kind of approaching LUSAC as this piecemeal. It all needs to be done. This feels like an approachable way to do that. LUSAC grounds, we're hoping to go at the same time. They're hoping to do Cuddy Park renovations. So we'd like to kind of tag team with Parks and Rec. So whenever they're ready for the Cuddy Park, we can say, yes, and please create a walking path from Cuddy Park to the library. And we can do some other things. So we'd like to partner on that one. And then the Muldoon Library, we're partnered with the transit department, right? They're going to do the transit center. Part of it's going to be transit, part of it's going to be library. So we're on their timeline as well. So when they're ready to bond, then by golly, we're going to go with them. So some of the timing, we want to maximize these partnerships and really make sure that we're working with the municipality as a whole, but then the timing becomes tricky. And So we'll do the best we can. We know that we'll need an HVAC though, no matter what. HVAC will need to happen. So that's kind of our draft proposal. If you guys are accepting homework assignments, the homework assignment is that big packet over there that is our capital, yes, the capital improvement plan draft, and it is on the website. I
It is
believe.
on the, and if it is not currently, it will be very shortly on the board page of our website.
Yes, so it is a big packet. A lot of it is very similar to last year. We didn't really change a whole lot. There's some of the updates. And the idea is that at the next meeting, and the next meeting when Margie is back, and you guys will have had a whole month to dig in and look at it and consider, then you guys can have that discussion as a board and make your recommendation on what you think we should be moving forward with, because we want, you know, you guys are our advisory board. We'd like your advice on on this really big piece of the capital improvement project.
And mutually, we like library priorities, so our
Yeah.
advocacy
Exactly.
is
So
recognizing that.
we want that to be a conversation, and also the non-labor budget too. So it's not just we can kind of come to you with this plan, but you know, be thinking about the digital pieces, be thinking about the staffing, and you know, the specifics of the non-labor budget are a little bit more nuanced. I've got a line of $500 for this chair, and you know,
Yeah.
the line by line is a lot, but knowing what you guys think is important as community members and what you think is a good direction, all of that input is helpful as we gather from, you know, we ask staff, what does staff think our priorities should be? We've got a survey out right now. We have discussions with leadership team, you know, so we want as many voices to be a part of that process as we think big picture, down to when I'm at the last, I'm like, and then 20 cents here. So I won't bother you guys with that level, but
Pencils.
so that's kind of where we're at. I think I might have another slide that I've gotten ahead of myself. Yes, I did. So previous bonds, right? So the third floor is that 30% is partly funded by a previous bond, the 2021 bond for the Alaska room. We're using that money to help. Most of that money is still going towards the Alaska portion of the third floor, but we're using it to look at, instead of just doing a little part of the Alaska wing, we're going to say, let's redo the whole third floor. Our elevators, I don't know if you saw this, yeah, we're getting new elevators. We bonded for that a while ago, and now they're happening. So it does work. And then last year, voters approved the new windows and Eagle River carpet. I don't have an update on that, but I know that they are looking at doing the skylight first. So from that, in the children's area, it goes from the kids' space up to the third floor, that really big leaky skylight. So we've had real people who sometimes wear hard hats in their job come and actually look at it. So that's exciting. And then, yes, we did get money for the Eagle River carpet, just not sure what the status of that project is, but I know that it's there.
In the previous slide, there was something about the South Anchorage branch.
That's a dream that we have.
Okay.
So we keep it on the project list, so it doesn't go off of anybody's awareness that we really do need something in South Anchorage.
What about the downtown branch?
So the downtown library is not a part of this capital improvement plan because it's already funded. So this is us looking at what should we ask for funding.
I
So
see.
downtown is a project that we're working on, but it's not a part of our bond
Any
proposal.
word on the progress on that?
Yes, the downtown library is supposed to, I think we're in permitting right now.
Mhm.
So we are supposed to be in construction. They're doing the Peratrovich Park project first, and then they're going to do that. So I believe we are kind of come up like July, August that they'll start, because I think they're going to finish Peratrovich Park. They're starting Peratrovich Park right now, is my understanding. We will be done by the end of the year because that is what the grant says.
Mhm.
So we will absolutely be done by the end of the year. But yes, and it should only be, they think, like 2 months of construction once it gets started, since it's just rehabbing an existing building that's a very small space. So yes, we have, as you know, that is both funded by, the construction is funded by a state grant, and the operations will be funded by the Getz Trust, which is held by the foundation. So there is not taxpayer money attached to this one in the more traditional operating budget for the municipality sense. And the foundation is releasing the first round of operational funds so that we will hire and start the branch manager this fall to oversee the final parts of construction, as well as sort of the move-in process, with the idea of starting the rest of the staff at the beginning of 2027 and hopefully opening early to spring 2027.
Cool.
I've run through several library capital projects, and I've learned that you write plans in pencil, not pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For rendezvous opening. I know that's-
That would be delightful, perhaps for rendezvous opening, perhaps for rendezvous opening, perhaps right after that excitement. Lest we, yeah.
Okay.
Next slide, in case I'm forgetting something else. Yeah, so I just talked through it all without my slides, but this is our proposal to you. Because we have found it's easier for people to interact with a draft version instead of just throwing darts. So if you have a strong reaction to this, whether in absolute opposition or in absolute agreement, both of those are okay and will help guide our discussion. So
That sounds good to me.
well, take a month to think about it. Don't give away the answer right away. So yeah, you guys can have hopefully a more robust discussion, because last year I know we presented it and then asked for your opinion on the same day. So learning ahead and giving you guys a whole month. And then you had asked about this earlier, Christy, but this is just a visual of the timeline. So June, finalizing kind of our priorities and projects. And so having that discussion with you and our other stakeholders. And then in July, I close my door.
June is right around the corner.
And I don't let anybody in my office as I look at my spreadsheet still on cross-eyed. And this year we'll also be doing a downtown budget, so it'll be fun. Okay, so again, your homework assignment, should you choose to accept it, looking through the capital improvement plan, asking all the questions, and then any other priorities for our non-labor budget. And
So
that,
given that June is actually next month, is by that, are you saying that we should think about it and come back?
yeah, so the idea is that at your next meeting in June, when Margie is back, that you guys can have that discussion with her and kind of give her your thoughts and opinions on the plan and the budget process. And
So this would kind of,
so this is the informational presentation, and then you can have a full discussion, having had time to kind of sit with it. So
wonderful. Any other questions or comments?
Not about this.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I guess I'm not sure. I know we're going to have a fuller discussion in the next meeting. But one of the things that just strikes me at first blush is there is significant deferred maintenance with a high likelihood of having to continue to defer a lot of the maintenance on the existing buildings. And we are simultaneously adding to the footprint and maintenance responsibility of the library system overall. And I recognize that, I mean, I've always felt like Anchorage's downtown has been lacking a library, that's a core piece of a thriving downtown area. It's something that I really miss from other cities that I live in. And also part of the impetus of the downtown library was a restricted gift for that legacy gift for that purpose. And I guess I am curious if part of our discussion could be, about your all's perception of not just this coming year's budget, but sort of the long-term outlook of the growing deferred maintenance challenges that you're facing, and what you've already contemplated for for addressing that.
So for deferred maintenance, I think that LUSAC is our biggest, space. And so I think that's why we're looking at things like HVAC for getting some of these critical infrastructure things. And then, in terms of the footprint for LUSAC, that's remaining intact. It's one of the reasons that in the third floor plan, right, there had been this shift of let's put the Alaska collection back in the wing where it used to be and really revitalize that. And we've, in talking with Margie and other people, we've moved away from that plan because we wouldn't have staffing capacity. In my mind, that would be us kind of extending our footprint. Right now it works as a rental.
The footprint
Yeah.
of the
Downtown library?
Of the downtown library.
Yeah.
That'll be a new space that has its own
Sure.
maintenance requirements.
Yep.
And we've got deferred maintenance and
Yep.
this in the Mountain View Library, Muldoon Library, and that we're adding to the number of
Yes.
buildings that require maintenance. And I know that this is not something that's like the Library Advisory Board is going to solve. I'm sure it's on your minds. I just would love to hear more about kind of what are your thoughts about kind of the longer term outlook and
Mhm.
what might need to happen.
I know for downtown, we're really looking to the foundation to make sure that they're supporting the needs of that. I know the building as a whole, that's still something, we're only one tenant of hopefully many to fill that space. And so in terms of the maintenance cost, I know that's something we're going to be looking to the foundation for. It doesn't mean it won't take our staff time to help manage. That's just my initial thought on downtown, but Margie and
I believe that also with downtown, because we are technically in downtown considered a tenant of that larger facility, and we are not the entirety of Old City Hall. They have, for example, I do believe in this most recent groups of bonds, it also included a boiler for that facility.
And did that pass?
yes,
Yes, it did. It passed. And that was, at one point, there was discussions of our budget paying for the boiler for the whole facility, and we could not afford it. In our construction budget, and our grant did not cover that entire boiler, nor did it seem right that the library, which is just one portion of the building, should pay for the boiler for the entirety of the building. So I think there is understanding in the way that City Hall put it into a bond as a general maintenance of maintaining that a lot of the larger maintenance of that building will fall on a citywide responsibility, and we are more within, the four walls tenant type things. We're hoping.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
But good point, I think, just to the way we budget year to year to year, but there are these, I really appreciate you bringing that up, Megan, because there's that other longer view that obviously.
yeah, and it's not just, to your point, Megan, it's not just the deferred maintenance, it is the staff time and the staff resources. And, it is going to take brain power to keep the downtown library going. And, we want to provide these great services, but we need to make sure that the desk is staffed. And, so there's going to be those pieces that we have to work
There's going
out.
to need to be a security guy down there.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's
most population.
The security guard is already budgeted to come out of the operating funds provided by the Getz Trust.
Good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was essential.
Yeah. I have a question. Is Sandy Luke's going to get here?
I sent her a message and did not
We've
hear
run
from
out
her.
of time.
So at this point, I
I'm
did
sorry, I gapped.
hear from her. So we may have to reschedule her because I didn't get a message back from her.
That would be fine, because we still have yet to hear your report, Elizabeth, for the month. So
All right.
I am not at all sorry that your time ran long.
Yes,
Molly. I
well,
think this
thank you
was-
for your questions and.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's really
Like
good.
you said, one of the most important things that we have to do.
Yeah.
And if you have other questions, like if you think of something, you can reach out to Margie, and, I can get answers and, so don't feel like you're limited to this if you want. I will provide as much detail as you want. I just don't want to assume you want that level.
This was great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I tend to forget to look at my watch and let people run over, and I'm fine with that. But I hope Sandy didn't think she was no longer welcome if she,
Well,
for whatever reason, didn't show up. It's fine with me.
Yeah.
I will find out what's going on with Sandy, so we'll see if we can get her rescheduled.
Eavesdrop for the rest of the meeting and.
Please, you're welcome to stay. So Elizabeth, tell us
So
what's going on.
you have a copy of the board report, so I will highlight some of my favorite things. You'll see that both Chugiak Eagle River and Lusac talked about our Expanding Horizon speaker series, which that was a really great thing that we did for this year. This year being sort of an academic year of 25 to 26, where we partnered with UAA and their professors came over and gave lectures, both at Lusac and Eagle River and some of our locations. So, and they've been really well received, and the professors have been really enthusiastic about the opportunity to talk sort of to very enthusiastic people who are excited to be there, as opposed to undergraduate or graduate students with varying levels of enthusiasm. So that was a really fun one. This month included planning for the end of the life, difficult dialogues, and traditional food security in Alaska.
Point me where you.
So under education, that's the first bullet point under education. And then interestingly enough, it's the second bullet point under information. So I think that got a little bit split,
Okay, got it.
but yes. And then other past months, they are, they've done things like the French space program and Lord of the Rings, and just been really a fun series. On the second page under community, one of our first things is we have these bags called Welcome Baby Bags. And we send we get postcards to pediatricians and midwives and all sorts of medical practitioners who encounter brand new babies. And they pass them out, and the parent can bring the postcard in and get a Welcome Baby bag with a board book and a little baby toy and a nice tote bag to carry their books home with. And it's our way of trying to reel in new babies and their parents as well as,
While they're young.
right?
That's great.
Yeah.
That's super great.
And so once a year, we do sort of a sweeps week where we ask every baby who comes in under a year old, and we're like, have you gotten a Welcome Baby bag? As well as doing a lot of social media promotion. And Senator Forrest Dunbar and his wife Lane Boyer Dunbar Lane is his son, so his wife is Tasha Boyer Dunbar, my apologies. They saw the advertisement and they brought in their brand new son Lane to get his thing. So that was super fun. There's a really, really cute Instagram video they made, which is linked at the very last page of the report. On the bottom of the second page, our virtual services librarian, Christy Nelson, did an in-person, even though she's our virtual services librarian, peep show where participants created and displayed dioramas using marshmallow peeps. There was one that was from Carrie, which was very realistic, the Stephen King novel. There was
I
one,
want to see that one.
they're on our social media. If you go into our social media, they are there. There was a really fantastic one of George Washington crossing the Delaware, all in peeps. It was so much fun. Our community is so creative. I love it. If you, and then I think if you go to our photos are of course of Dinosaur Day, which is always super fun. One of the peep shows, the Project Hail Mary peep is on the very last page. And then I was also, I'm going to go very quickly, going to show you the, in the coming soon section is that library van, which should start making stops out in the community in June. It is going to go in the next 2 days to get its wrap, which will look like this. So let me
Wow.
share that for you guys real quick. So everyone gets a chance to see it.
What is it?
This is the mobile library wrap.
Oh,
Very nice.
So we are really excited about
and when is that gonna manifest itself?
June. It is actually, I think, tomorrow. You have to get a very special sort of cleaning and wax before you can get the wrap put on. And so that happens tomorrow.
Cool.
And so we have, I think, some of our first things popping up in about mid-June.
Do you have a calendar of the? events?
We do have a website that's ready, once we, that will be launched in June, that'll have the calendar of when they will be.
Oh, I want to go see it.
Yeah, so we're super excited about it. So that's what it's gonna look like. It's really pretty.
Who designed it?
We worked with a local graphic designer, and the wrap itself was paid for, by our Anchorage Library Foundation.
Who's the designer?
I do not know. I'm so afraid. I'm so sorry. It's one of our graphic design companies, and I apologize. Actually, I have it open here. Brian Becker from Graphic Works.
Huh. Nice job.
Or, yeah. So, Graphic Works did that for us and is able to design it. And like I said, that was part of a mini grant from the Anchorage Library Foundation to get the grant. So
There's just one of these, right?
there's just one of these. We had initially written the white paper and gotten a grant to do this project in 2019, which is when we purchased the shelving and such. And unfortunately, that got delayed. And then during the pandemic, you could not buy vans for love or money. They actually canceled all government orders because they could make so much more money selling them commercially than to set prices to governments.
Yeah.
And so the van showed up this year. So we have gone through a lot of iterations on this, and it is so exciting to see it finally. It's a project I've been working on since the beginning, so I am personally incredibly excited.
Years past.
Years and years and years. I wrote the first paper about wanting a library van in 2013. So, I'm highly invested in this project. They let me be the first person to drive it. It was very exciting. So.
Well, Molly doesn't want to, so.
I know. She didn't even volunteer to ride along with me. I think Samantha did. So, but yes, so very excited. And that is our coming soon. And hopefully in June, Margie will be able to, well, to be fair, in June, you get the report of what happened in May. So hopefully when you all come back after you take your July break, we'll have lots of pictures of happy kids and families and seniors and everybody using the Millville Library. And I do believe, fingers crossed, it should show up in a parade this year.
Good.
One of our community parades. So.
Any questions for Elizabeth? Comments?
No, just on barbecue.
Oh, we're going back to the conversation.
When we
on
adjourn,
George.
we're gonna talk barbecue. This is
Okay.
very Kansas City-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, any board comments in general?
I'm sorry that Sandy didn't make it, but I'm glad that you came.
Yeah. We will get Sandy rescheduled for next week, but
Great.
So since there apparently aren't any candidates for new board members and we need to focus more on recruitment, I'd say I'd put another plug in for, I know geographical distribution is important, but also, different community, different ethnic groups and so on. So.
Yeah, and like I said, Marie did write back to me and say, she thought that there were a few recent arrivals of applications. She didn't specify. And encouraged since I told her there was board meetings, and I encouraged us to talk to friends and neighbors of whatever ilk we wish and get that going. I was just kind of surprised that it wasn't more in the pipeline already, but we'll find out.
Yeah, last we heard there were 3.
Yeah,
I
so,
thought there was someone from Muldoon that was pretty interested.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm afraid I didn't get that update before Marjorie left, so I'm
okay.
unable to, I'm sorry.
it's okay. We made it tonight. Thank you, Megan and Olivia, for also being here.
Yeah, apologize for being late. Yeah,
It's okay.
escalated.
Anything else for the good of the order? Then I get to call an adjournment at 6:54. Is that close?
Close enough.